Trust Once Lost. Chapter 32. Honesty. I woke up early again. As annoying as it was to have a bedtime, it seems to leave me feeling more refreshed in the morning. A shocking development, I know. I was still apprehensive about getting out of bed, but this time I had a clear objective. My books. I could reach my book bags from the bed, but to switch on the lights, I'd have to get out of bed and walk across the room. I had to tell myself that Applejack wasn't a light sleeper, and hopefully, being an early riser wouldn't make her think anything was wrong. This would be so much easier if I had a reading light next to my bed. I was worried that if I asked for one, then Applejack would think I was staying up all night reading, and then she might take my books. Maybe I could ask for one as a nightlight, so I didn't have to walk across the room in the dark. Or, no. Applejack could tell when I was lying. I wasn't afraid of the dark. The hardwood floor was cold on the bottoms of my hooves. Why did they have to have a layer of skin on the bottom? My broken foreleg ached a little, but it was getting better. I hesitated before pressing the light switch.
Please don't wake anyone up.
The room was filled with an unmistakably incandescent glow. Ponies didn't have LED lights yet, it seemed. It was nostalgic. Resisting the urge to run quickly back to the warmth of my bed, I walked slowly to keep noise to a minimum. Overnights, the connection I'd been distracted from had crystallized. Magical exhaustion. That was what must have happened to me at school. But if that was the case, why didn't Applejack take me to the hospital? Was this a unicorn thing that Applejack didn't know about? So she wasn't taking it seriously? That would be an awkward conversation. And how did I manage to get into a state of magical exhaustion without even trying to cast magic? I checked the index of the magic textbook, but the only reference to magical exhaustion was in the section I'd already read. No pony had told me much about the condition I had. I guess they didn't want to scare me. But the fact that they needed to do that worried me greatly. Was I going to end up like Bruce Banner? Forced to keep my emotions under control at all times to avoid blowing up? I wasn't very good at that, as much as I'd like to be. I looked up magical exhaustion in the medical dictionary, but there was only a short definition. Magic exhaustion. Magic exhaustion is a condition where a pony's mana pool is drained below the level necessary for their body to maintain vital functions. Magical exhaustion is often confused with magical fatigue, but the terms are not interchangeable. Magical fatigue, see page 211. There were many pages of medical definitions beginning with magical, but even so, magical fatigue was on the very next page. Magical fatigue. Magical fatigue describes the symptoms associated with excessive magic use. Symptoms include headache, nausea, drowsiness, and lethargy. Magical fatigue is often confused with magical exhaustion, but the terms are not interchangeable. Magical exhaustion, see page 209. Maybe I didn't have magical exhaustion then? I should have asked for a diagnostic and treatment manual. This would have been so much easier with the internet.
What was the other thing I heard them say? Oh yeah, magic surge.
Magic surge. Magic surge describes the involuntary outbursts of unstructured magic observed in unicorn foals. Magic surges are a normal and temporary part of a foal's development, and are very rare in foals beyond 18 months. Well, that explained why every pony was so surprised. All my classmates probably saw me as even more of a baby now. Next, I pulled out the first aid manual. It was a spiral-bound booklet rather than a full book, which made sense. A first aid manual would be something you updated frequently. It was laid out in a familiar way too. The first page described an acronym which would be expanded upon in subsequent pages. It was a different acronym, but it shouldn't be too hard to remember. That reminded me I still had to review my notes from last night to check my recall. I hadn't even thought about it when I packed the books away, but I'd put the sheets of paper inside one of the books. When I flipped the cover open, the pages were still there. So it wasn't just books that were affected by the bag's magic, but things placed inside the books too. Although, so far, I had only tried things made of paper. Now that the idea was in my head, I couldn't focus on revisiting my anatomy notes. There was magic to be investigated. After a few minutes, I had a fairly good idea of what would work. A pencil? Yes. A hairbrush? Yes, even though the book wasn't closed all the way. My pillow? No. Presumably because it extended beyond the edges of the book. I turned back to my notes, and despite my sloppy writing and cryptic notation style, I found that I still remembered most of it. I had to refer back to the book for a few things, mostly figures or names of things.
Morning, Sweet Pea.
I jumped slightly, and my movement on the mattress was enough to dislodge Greymane's anatomy from where it was propped in front of me, and of course it fell straight on my head.
I'm okay.
I grumbled from underneath the book.
You weren't up on that Rayden, were you? No. It's alright, darling. I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm just glad to know there's something that makes you happy. I'm sorry. For what? For making you worry about me. Oh, don't say that, darling. It's my job to worry about you. Ain't no sense in two ponies trying to do a one-pony job.
I pouted.
That doesn't even make sense. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you worrying about me. Don't go using your fancy book learning to muddy the issue. I'll do the worrying, and y'all do the... whatever it is that fillies are supposed to do. Have you forgotten how to be a filly?
I asked, playfully.
I'm not that old,
said Applejack.
I had a lot of responsibilities when I was your age.
Her tone in the last part of the sentence put a lump in my throat. Her parents. Of course she wouldn't have had a normal childhood.
Damn it, why did I have to say that? Do you want to talk about it?
I asked, gently.
What? It must have been difficult.
I explained.
Having so much responsibility forced on you at a young age. It weren't that bad,
said Applejack.
Us apples stick together. After my folks passed, it was hard for a while, but we managed. Do you regret not being able to do all the things other fillies your age were doing? It weren't as bleak as all that,
said Applejack.
Working on the farm is what I was meant to do, after all.
She looked back fondly to the mark of 3 apples on her flank.
Oh, okay,
I said. Cutie mark magic was something I wasn't really equipped to discuss. Applejack saw the serious look on my face.
Green, do you want to talk?
Asked Applejack.
About before you came here?
It hurt to swallow.
No, I'm tricking everyone. I don't deserve this. I'm sorry.
I said.
For what?
I hesitated.
For not being honest.
Applejack tilted her head.
About what? I don't know.
Applejack remained silent and waited for me to continue. I broke eye contact and just tried to keep talking.
I told every pony I don't remember what happened, but I do. Or at least I think I do.
I tried not to focus on what I was saying, what I was risking by telling her this. I felt cold and numb, and like I needed to go to the bathroom.
I'm afraid that if I tell ponies, they'll think I'm crazy. And I'm even more afraid that I might actually be crazy.
Applejack took a step towards me.
I reckon if you really were crazy, you wouldn't be worried about it. That's not how that works. You seem pretty sure about that.
I flinched.
Darling, it's not gonna get better if you don't tell any pony. Before I came here, in my past life, I don't know exactly how it works.
I said.
Before all that, I was a nurse. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! You're going to ruin everything! You can't take this back! At your age? I was older. Well, I guess not chronologically older, but I was considered an adult in that society. At the hospital, you said your parents weren't ponies. You're really sure about this, aren't you?
There it was. The doubt. She didn't believe me. And I already knew Applejack couldn't keep a secret. Now every pony would know I was nuts. Well, I'd gone too far to pull back now. I took a breath.
What if none of this is real?
I questioned.
If I pull on this thread, everything could unravel. I've lost everything. Can't I just pretend this is real? Pretend what's real? You, Apple Bloom, Equestria, magic? I want to pretend that I deserve everything you've done for me. I want to keep pretending that I really am that lost little filly you found in the Everfree, but it hurts. You're not a filly? I am a filly now.
I said.
I can't deny that, but I don't know. So, you weren't lost? I mean, yeah, I was lost. You're a lost little filly that needed help. You do deserve help, Green. And no secret you were hiding could change that. Don't you feel better now that you've let it out? No, I don't.
I said.
I've been lying to every pony to get them to help me. I let every pony think something really terrible had happened to me, but it hasn't. So, how'd you end up lost in the Everfree with a broken leg? I don't know.
I expected her to pounce on the logical inconsistency, but of course, she could tell that I was telling the truth.
To me, that sounds like something real terrible. You all think someone was trying to take advantage of me!
My eyes were screwed shut as I cringed at what I just said. I didn't hear what Applejack said next. I heard the noises, but my brain wasn't processing them into words. I felt her climb up onto the bed next to me and start to brush my mane with her hoof.
Stop!
Applejack's hoof recoiled.
You're supposed to hate me. I lied about everything. I'm not a victim. I'm not a real filly.
I sobbed.
I don't even like apples. What do you mean you don't like apples?
I face-huffed. Of course, Applejack would pick that one out.
Green. I'm sorry. For what?
I hesitated a moment.
For hitting myself? You're apologizing to me?
Applejack said slowly.
For hurting yourself. I don't want you to worry about me. I don't want you to feel like you have to care about me. It doesn't end well. Well then, I guess you'll just have to stop being so adorable.
That was so off script it threw me for a loop. She was not supposed to say that.
I'm being serious. I'm not too serious, I reckon.
She tousled my mane.
You'll need to relax before you give yourself an ulcer.
She definitely wasn't supposed to tell me to relax. You don't tell someone who's panicking to just relax. But as ill-advised as that theoretically was, taking a step back to mentally critique Applejack's bedside manner gave me enough emotional distance to get my emotions back under control.
So, what's for breakfast?
Applejack sighed.
Why don't you like apples? I don't know. I just don't.
I said.
Never have.
I love how calm Applejack was in spite of all that. Because, I'm being honest, even in spite of having a really tense moment, it's always good to be calm. Because freaking out really doesn't solve too much. Anywho, let's get on to our comforting donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Star630, BadassWaffle, Onlyonething, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Matchbook 9, JockeTF, JockeTF, Rayden, Narwhals, Blickman, Pastel Skies, also known as Stu Hex, Sort Brother, Mordred, Omicron, Larry, Ruben, Tab 9052, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Rysel, Shadow Moon, Luigi 88, Chance Request, Big Smoke 369, Bobcat, GGF, Murder Princess, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.